When the most ferocious thunderstorms of the Cretaceous split the sky, all colossal life fled frantically for survival. Yet, in a hidden valley forgotten by the clamor, a tiny creature abnormally slowed its pace. It cared nothing for the pterosaurs sweeping overhead, nor for the roars of overlords echoing from afar. It merely gazed stubbornly at the stream beneath its feet. This small ankylosaur living on the fringes of the era, covered in a unique bony skin, was Minmi. Tonight, beside the gently flickering hearth, let us journey together into its true life through this story that requires no effort to remember. In this journey that requires no strain to recall, there is no cruelty of the survival of the fittest, only the restraint and serenity belonging to the night. Minmi is currently strolling unhurriedly by the shallow stream, letting the cool water soothe its exhausted limbs. The stream ripples over its thick toes, striking against the smooth pebbles with a crisp gurgling sound like an ancient ballad. It finally lays down slowly upon a giant, flat rock, moving no more, letting the chilly night dew quietly moisten its heavy armor. This solitude and tranquility in the vast open expanse between heaven and earth constituted the gentlest footnote of life in the deep night of eons ago. And the common impression of mankind, the Australian continent of the Cretaceous period was a cruel breeding ground filled with fierce competition and crushing pressure. Every inch of this land belonged to those immense, ferocious predators armed with lethal weapons. As a small dinosaur measuring no more than 3 meters in length, Minmi's living space was once compressed to a pitiful degree. It lacked the razor-sharp teeth of a tyrannosaur capable of tearing everything apart, nor did it possess the majestic frame of long-necked dinosaurs that could touch the clouds. To survive in the fissures of the era, its body evolved an extraordinarily peculiar protective structure. From its skull to its tail, countless minuscule bony nodules were embedded beneath its skin, forming a form-fitting coat of chainmail. However, this armor that protected it from fatal harm turned into a heavy burden of survival during the day. The ponderous carapace made its every stride exceptionally sluggish, rendering it unable to flee quickly when danger struck. When its companions scattered in panic at the slightest rustle of grass, it was often left alone in place, bearing the weight of unknown terror. This absolute slowness brought by its anatomical structure made it a marginalized existence within its herd for a very long time. The agony of the daytime arose not only from the dread of predatory species but also from the torment that the scorching heat inflicted upon this armored frame. When the merciless sun beat straight down upon the earth, the bony skin on Minmi's back rapidly absorbed the heat, acting like a moving branding iron. To seek a shroud of shade capable of sheltering its body, it had no choice but to break away from the herd and walk solitarily into the deep valley. During this process, its relationships with its companions grew increasingly estranged. The competition for power and reproduction seemed to have nothing to do with it. It grew accustomed to examining this world in solitude, utilizing its unique low vantage point to observe the growth of each fern leaf. While other dinosaurs crashed into one another for territory, emitting deafening roars, it merely chewed silently on the low vegetation. This passive choice gradually evolved deep within its heart into an extreme restraint and composure toward the external environment. It discovered that as long as it did not attempt to contest for things that did not belong to it, the world became relatively tolerant. While the torrent of the era desperately urged all life to evolve faster, stronger, and more ferocious, it intentionally took a step backward. This single step cost it the chance to become a ruler, yet it unexpectedly allowed it to touch the most authentic serenity of life. The turning points of destiny often occur at the most inadvertent twilight, when the final ray of golden sun sinks beneath the horizon. On that day, a catastrophic drought gripping the entire continent descended without warning, causing once abundant rivers to dry up on a massive scale. Stripped of water, the dinosaur herds plunged into an unprecedented frenzy, entering a bloody slaughter over the last remnants of mud. Minmi did not participate in this struggle destined for destruction. Relying on its memory, it walked solitarily toward the end of that hidden valley. Its joints throbbed with pain from the arduous trek, and its thick toes bled from friction against the cracked ground. Deprived of the nourishment of water vapor, the armor on its back became extraordinarily dry and ponderous, requiring an immense price for every single step it took. Yet, its gaze remained serene, free of panic or blind conformity, holding only a stubborn adherence to its inner direction. On that painful night, it traversed past countless remains of its kin and crossed dried riverbeds stained crimson with blood. Its mind harbored no sorrow at that moment, only a detached indifference to the transience of life, paired with an endless thirst for cool water. The cruel compression of the era's landscape did not shatter its fragile life. Instead, it tempered its slow-moving heart into something infinitely resilient. When it finally caught the faint sound of flowing water from afar, the entire world seemed to reawaken at that exact second. It was a shallow stream hidden deep within the canyon, and though the current was minuscule, it had miraculously escaped drying up in the drought. Minmi waded slowly into the water. The cool stream instantly enveloped its burning ankles, whisking away the exhaustion accumulated over many days. It did not gorge itself like a famished beast. Instead, it submerged half its body in the current, letting the gentle flow wash away the sand trapped within the crevices of its armor. The stream rippled over its thick toes, making crisp gurgling noises that sounded exceptionally clear and tender in the silent night. The surrounding air was thick with the scent of moist earth and the crisp fragrance of moss, the most luxurious reward of its life. It lowered its head slightly, gazing at the ripples spreading across the surface, as all past grievances and solitude dissolved into nothingness at this moment. The various pasts of being mocked by companions for moving too slowly and nearly losing its life due to its heavy frame all found their answers in the sound of the water. It was precisely because of its slowness that it avoided being swept into the destructive chaos of the day. It was precisely because of its stubbornness that it found this final paradise. Beside this shallow stream, it achieved a thorough reconciliation with its own destiny, discovering the survival wisdom exclusive to little characters. The night grew progressively deeper without notice. The stars shimmered with a light across the narrow sky above the canyon. Satisfied, Minmi stepped out from the stream, its body having reclaimed its cool temperature and its carapace gleaming with a gentle luster under the moon. It strolled along an open patch of ground by the bank, searching for the ultimate resting place to pass this night. Finally, its gaze settled upon a giant, flat rock in the middle of the stream, its surface polished exceptionally smooth by the flowing water. Unhurriedly, it waded over, its stout limbs stepping firmly onto the rock's surface with steady, muffled thuds. Inside this harbor untouched by any natural predator, it slowly lowered its body, letting its soft abdomen press close against the warm stone surface. Its long tail dropped submissively down one side of the rock, curling slightly into a defensive yet relaxed posture. The night breeze blew, and the temperature inside the valley began to fall, as a sheet of faint mist rose quietly from the water's surface to wrap around it. It closed those eyes that always appeared somewhat sluggish yet were infinitely clear, no longer thinking about whether tomorrow's sun would remain merciless. At this single second, this giant, flat rock was its gentlest shield against the entire cruel Cretaceous era. The night dew began to condense, transforming into crystal droplets that quietly moistened Minmi's thick, bony back armor. It had thoroughly entered a sweet dreamscape, its breathing becoming exceptionally prolonged and regular, each exhalation bearing a faint plume of white mist. The stream continued to flow untiringly beneath it, its gurgling noises echoing through the empty valley, guarding its serenity. That tiny ankylosaur that had suffered bullying and marginalization during the day found its own dignity within the embrace of the night. What it left to this world was not earth-shattering footprints, nor a colossal skeleton preserved in a museum to evoke awe. What it left was merely an ancient memory of slowing down, of finding a flat rock within a cruel world to fall peacefully asleep. Eons have drifted past. Though the continents of that era have long since fractured and separated, the sound of that stream still seems to echo in the night sky of this evening. The core riddle was never how it managed to survive on that brutal continent, but how it maintained its inner peace in a frenzied era. Now, Minmi's journey has drawn to a close at a tranquil destination, and the world has long since plunged into the deepest night. You who listen to this story, please be like it, shed the heavy disguises you put on for defense during the day, and upon the flat, firm stone belonging to you, peacefully drift into your dreams.